Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a time when entire communities were denied their basic rights, where freedom and equality were reserved for just a few. Now picture the moment when everything changed, when a single amendment, the 14th, became the beacon of justice for all. In 1868, the 14th Amendment promised that no person, regardless of race, gender, or status, would ever again be denied the protection of the law. But its power didn't stop there. From the civil rights movement to the fight for LGBTQ+ rights, it's been the cornerstone of every battle for equality. This is the story of how one amendment continues to shape the very fabric of American justice, transforming not just laws but lives. Stay tuned to see how its promise has revolutionized our world and why its fight is far from over. And the 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, stands as a monumental pillar in the architecture of American civil rights and equality. It fundamentally reshaped the legal landscape by affirming the principle that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens, thus ensuring the full protection of their rights under the law. This provision, in its essence, directly countered the notorious Dred Scott decision of 1857, which had denied citizenship to African Americans. The amendment's Equal Protection Clause mandates that no state shall deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws, effectively prohibiting discrimination by state governments. This clause became the bedrock for future legal battles in the fight for racial equality, gender equality, and the protection of various civil rights. The Due Process Clause, also enshrined in the 14th Amendment, expanded the scope of protections for individuals, mandating that no state can deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Through this, the amendment laid the foundation for the incorporation of the Bill of Rights to apply not just to the federal government, but to the states as well. Over time, the 14th Amendment has served as a cornerstone for landmark rulings, including Brown v. Board of Education, which struck down racial segregation in schools, and Obergefell v. Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. It is a critical legal tool that continues to be wielded in the courts to fight for the fundamental rights of all individuals, irrespective of race, gender, or sexual orientation. The 14th Amendment, in its broad guarantees, thus represents a continuing evolution toward a more inclusive society, where equality and civil rights are not merely aspirational, but guaranteed under the law. And the 14th Amendment, as it stands, is not just a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing force that continues to shape the legal and moral fabric of the nation. It is an amendment that is invoked in courtrooms across the United States, providing the essential foundation for the protection of rights that many take for granted today. With its roots firmly planted in the struggle for racial equality following the Civil War, the amendment was a necessary response to a nation grappling with its dark history of slavery and systemic racism, yet its power extends far beyond the context in which it was originally drafted. The Equal Protection Clause is a beacon not just for African Americans in the post-Reconstruction era, but for all marginalized groups, ensuring that no person is denied the protection of the law simply because of their race, gender, religion, or status. It speaks to the fundamental principle that justice is blind and must be equally applied to every individual within the borders of this country. And in the years following its ratification, the 14th Amendment served as a clarion call for social justice movements. The civil rights movement in the 1960s, spearheaded by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, and others, found its foundation in the promise of the 14th Amendment. It was under the protection of this amendment that African Americans and other people of color were able to legally challenge the systems that had long sought to deny them equality. The amendment enabled activists and lawyers to fight segregation, disenfranchisement, and discriminatory laws that sought to maintain the status quo. Landmark cases such as Brown v. Board of Education relied heavily on the Equal Protection Clause to dismantle the deeply ingrained segregation that permeated the American educational system. It was through the 14th Amendment that the United States began to confront its own identity, working toward a more inclusive, fair, and just society. And yet, even in the 21st century, the 14th Amendment remains a powerful tool for justice. It continues to be the key legal instrument in battles for LGBTQ+ rights, gender equality, and immigrant protections. When the Supreme Court ruled in Obergefell v. Hodges that same-sex marriage was a constitutional right, it was rooted in the due process and equal protection clauses of the 14th Amendment. This decision was not merely a legal victory, but a declaration that love and equality cannot be confined by outdated and discriminatory laws. In the same vein, the amendment has been instrumental in the ongoing fight for the rights of immigrants, ensuring that they are not deprived of due process simply because of their immigration status. And the 14th Amendment also continues to provide a pathway for reform in the criminal justice system, where issues such as mass incarceration, racial profiling, and the death penalty have come under intense scrutiny. It is through this amendment that we confront the challenges of unequal policing, voter suppression, and inequitable access to education and health care. Each of these areas and many more reflect a country still working to live up to the ideals enshrined in the 14th Amendment. And this is the beauty and the power of the 14th Amendment. It is not just a historical document, but a call to action. It calls upon each generation to question the boundaries of justice, to stand against inequality wherever it is found, and to continue the fight for a nation where freedom, equality, and justice are not merely abstract ideals, but living realities for all. As long as there is a fight for civil rights, the 14th Amendment will remain an essential weapon in the arsenal of those who seek to ensure that the United States lives up to its highest ideals. It reminds us that the struggle for equality is not a battle of the past, but an ongoing mission that demands our attention, our commitment, and our unwavering dedication. And the 14th Amendment, with its broad guarantees of equality and due process, has continued to serve as a cornerstone of constitutional law, reinforcing the belief that the law must serve as a shield for the vulnerable, ensuring that no person is left without recourse. Its application over time has proven that its reach extends far beyond its original scope, adapting to the changing social, cultural, and political landscapes of the nation. The Equal Protection Clause has been vital not only in battles for racial equality, but also in advancing the rights of women, people with disabilities, and various other minority groups who have historically been subjected to societal marginalization and legal discrimination. The amendment's enduring power lies in its capacity to evolve, becoming a critical instrument in reshaping America's understanding of civil rights and justice. And take, for example, the women's suffrage movement, which found its voice in the post-14th Amendment era. In the early 20th century, women began to demand their right to vote, challenging centuries of legal and social subjugation. While the 14th Amendment's language was not initially extended to women in the way it was to African Americans, the amendment laid the groundwork for future advocacy. The 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote, was a direct result of the ongoing interpretation of the 14th Amendment. The notion that women were entitled to equal protection under the law paved the way for legislative change and the eventual realization of voting rights for women in 1920 underscored the expanding application of the amendment's principles, and similarly, the rights of people with disabilities have also been shaped by the 14th Amendment. The landmark case of Brown v. Board of Education, which ended legalized segregation in schools, was the product of a broader struggle for equal treatment under the law. This case and the subsequent legal victories helped create a legal precedent for future cases involving discrimination, including those involving individuals with disabilities. The Americans with Disabilities Act (ADA) of 1990, which ensured that people with disabilities had equal access to public accommodations, education, and employment, was deeply rooted in the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. It recognized that those with disabilities, like any other group, are entitled to the same protections under the law. And the 14th Amendment's influence extends even to the realm of immigration law, where it has become a critical tool in defending the rights of non-citizens. Throughout history, the United States has grappled with how to treat immigrants, but the 14th Amendment's guarantee of due process has remained a vital safeguard. In cases such as Plyler v. Doe, the Supreme Court ruled that states could not deny undocumented immigrant children the right to a public education, invoking the Equal Protection Clause to assert that such discrimination was unconstitutional. The 14th Amendment reminds us that regardless of immigration status, all individuals within the U.S. are entitled to the same basic rights and protections. And furthermore, the ongoing struggles for racial justice in the United States have continually been informed and shaped by the 14th Amendment's legacy. Even as the country has witnessed significant social movements such as Black Lives Matter, the amendment stands as a reminder of the country's commitment to eliminating racial discrimination and promoting equality. The amendment has played a crucial role in challenging systemic racism within law enforcement, ensuring that those who are disproportionately affected by racial profiling and unequal treatment are afforded the full protection of the law. This continued relevance of the 14th Amendment in addressing racial justice underscores its vital role in creating a more just society for all people regardless of race. And in the 21st century, as the country grapples with questions surrounding gender identity, sexual orientation, and other complex civil rights issues, the 14th Amendment remains an essential vehicle for securing the rights of LGBTQ+ individuals. The Supreme Court's decision in Obergefell v. Hodges, which legalized same-sex marriage, was a defining moment in this ongoing struggle. This ruling, which was rooted in both the due process and equal protection clauses of the 14th Amendment, affirmed the belief that all citizens, regardless of sexual orientation, deserve equal treatment under the law. It reaffirmed that the promise of equality enshrined in the amendment must apply universally, extending to all Americans regardless of their identity. And the 14th Amendment has always been and will continue to be the linchpin of American civil rights law. Its broad and enduring influence ensures that the struggle for equality remains a central pillar of the American experience. It stands as a testament to the resilience of the Constitution, a document that has continuously adapted to meet the evolving needs of a diverse and ever-changing nation. And while the amendment's promises may not always have been fully realized, it remains a touchstone for those who continue to seek justice, equality, and dignity for all people. Its application is not just an academic exercise or a matter of legal history. It is a living, breathing commitment to a nation striving to ensure that no one is left behind, no matter who they are or where they come from. And the continued relevance of the 14th Amendment in the modern era reflects not only the progress the United States has made, but also the ongoing challenges the nation faces in fully realizing the promise of equality. The equal protection and due process clauses have become critical tools for those who seek to dismantle the barriers of discrimination, inequity, and injustice. The amendment serves as a shield for the most vulnerable members of society, ensuring that their rights are not left to the whims of individual states or institutions, but are instead protected by a higher standard of justice. This guarantee underpins many of the major legal battles of today, from the fight for economic justice and access to health care to the struggle for voting rights and equitable representation. And in recent years, the issue of voting rights has brought the 14th Amendment to the forefront of American legal discourse. Historically, voting has been one of the most direct means through which citizens exercise their rights and ensure their voices are heard in the political process. However, throughout history, many have been systematically disenfranchised based on race, gender, and class. The 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause has been crucial in challenging laws that seek to suppress votes based on discriminatory practices. The Voting Rights Act of 1965, which sought to eliminate racial discrimination in voting, was grounded in the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, as it was designed to ensure that all citizens, regardless of race or ethnicity, could participate in the democratic process. And yet, in recent years, challenges to voting rights have persisted, with certain states passing laws that disproportionately impact communities of color and marginalized groups. These measures, such as voter ID laws and restrictions on early voting, continue to raise important questions about the intersection of the 14th Amendment and modern-day efforts to suppress the vote. As such, the 14th Amendment's promise of equal protection under the law has become a focal point in the battle to safeguard voting rights and ensure that all citizens have an equal voice in the political system. The courts continue to examine whether these laws violate the protections granted by the 14th Amendment and how they may be tailored to ensure a more inclusive and democratic society. And equally important is the ongoing fight for gender equality, which remains an area where the 14th Amendment plays a significant role. The amendment has been at the heart of many pivotal cases that have shaped the nation's understanding of gender rights. The landmark case of Reed v. Reed in 1971, which challenged the unequal treatment of men and women in inheritance law, was a critical moment in the legal history of gender equality in the United States. The Supreme Court ruled that arbitrary discrimination on the basis of sex violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. This case, along with others such as Frontiero v. Richardson and Craig v. Boren, established a framework that would shape future legal battles for gender equality. And more recently, the 14th Amendment has served as a legal foundation for the fight for reproductive rights. The right of women to make decisions regarding their own bodies, particularly in the context of abortion, has been defended through interpretations of the due process and equal protection clauses of the 14th Amendment in the landmark case of Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court recognized a woman's constitutional right to choose to terminate a pregnancy based on the principles of personal liberty and equality enshrined in the 14th Amendment. Though this decision has been the subject of intense legal and political debate, it remains a key example of how the 14th Amendment's guarantees continue to shape discussions on individual rights. And moreover, the amendment's far-reaching influence extends into the realm of healthcare, where it has played a role in the ongoing efforts to ensure that all Americans, regardless of income or background, have access to quality health care. The Affordable Care Act, which sought to expand health insurance coverage and reduce disparities in access to care, has been defended in part through the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause, ensuring that the law does not unjustly discriminate against individuals based on their socioeconomic status. The push for universal health care, along with efforts to ensure access to mental health services, disability accommodations, and other health-related resources, highlights how the 14th Amendment remains at the center of legal and policy discussions about social justice. And in this context, the 14th Amendment acts as a critical tool not only in addressing existing inequalities, but also in preventing the erosion of rights in the future. It offers a framework through which new social, political, and legal challenges can be addressed, ensuring that the fundamental rights of all individuals are respected. Its influence continues to be felt in every corner of American society, from the classroom to the courtroom, from the workplace to the voting booth. As the nation evolves, so too does the interpretation and application of the 14th Amendment, ensuring that its promise of equality and justice is not just a vision of the past, but a guiding force for the future. Its enduring significance is a testament to the power of the Constitution to adapt and provide a framework for addressing the issues of our time, and its legacy will continue to shape the future of civil rights in America for generations to come.